Item 7, consideration of election of board officers for 2011.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Romer.
Yes, before I nominate the officers for 2011, I want to thank you, Mr. President, for serving. You and I didn't always agree on how to get to a solution, but you always worked with honor, and I enjoyed working with you, and I look forward to working with you still in the future.
Thank you.
I'd like to nominate for 2011 officers the following slate. For President, Penny Dastugue; for Vice President, Jim Garvey; and for Secretary-Treasurer, Ms. Glennie Bouquet.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, and I'd like to speak to the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank the officers who have currently served. It has been a pleasure working with Walter, with Luella, and with Keith in his role as president. And I'd like I'm glad that it seems as if we're going to have a unanimous decision here, because one of the things that this state needs and this board needs is for us to be on one page and on one accord and to work together as a body. So I'm hoping that that's where we are today, and that is where how we will move forward. I know that there have been some concerns about what we're doing, but let me tell you, the children in the state of Louisiana are the only concerns of this board. And I'm talking about the children from the northern end of this state to the southern end of the state. Not just the children in the southern end, and I know I represent a lot of the southern parishes, but we are very concerned about all children and of improving the quality of education for all of those children. So I look forward to what we're going to do in the coming year. Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, I have one. I want to thank all of you for the honor. I wouldn't say that it was always a pleasure, but an honor of serving as president. And I'd particularly like to thank Jeanette Vosberg and her staff for all the help and assistance. Those are fine people, folks, and the state of Louisiana is very fortunate to have them.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Bell.
I'd just like to thank you for your statesmanship at times when it was a challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So anyone else want to speak? If not, any objections? So moved.
The timing may not be best in terms of the state's, economic fiscal situation. So I would imagine that a lot of our focus will be on how do we optimize our work and with less resources. Both from a practical point of view, the time we spend and what we spend on it. I think we're going to see a refocus on our initiatives and our goals. We're going to align. We are aligned with the department's reorganization. The BESE is going to try to reorganize itself to that. We're going to really try to work harder and work smarter, and because we have less resources, dramatically less resources, and yet we I think as a board refuse to give up on what our objectives and our goals are. So that'll be the most challenging aspect, I believe, of it, is trying to maintain our gains and our improvements in student achievement while with less resources.
What do you see as the top priorities for the reform efforts, the things that you'd like the public to know?
Well, probably the one that you're going to hear a lot about. The first one I can think of is the teacher value-added component for teacher evaluations. That is something that was passed in the session last year. It's a dramatic change from the way that we normally evaluate teachers. It is a big collaborative effort, and so you're going to be hearing a lot about that. We're going to try to do it with a lot of input, and particularly from our teachers. A second thing that you're going to be hearing about is student-based budgeting. Student-based budgeting's concept is really about site management and allocation of resources, and the timing is critical, because if it can be proven to the satisfaction of our districts that by allocating resources directly to the classroom level and the school level will increase student achievement and will create efficiencies, then I think there'll be support for it. So that's another area that we'll be working on. Accountability is, we're raising the bar this year, so there's going to be a lot of effort. Really, student achievement, raising the graduation rate. I mean, we have some pretty specific goals that we're going to continue, that we're working on, and that we have parameters that have been set, and we're going to follow. We're going to try to meet those. We do consider this a partnership, that we are not going to back off of our expectations of our children and of our educators because we have less dollars, that we are going to stay focused on our goals, and we have every intention of accomplishing them.
And the school performance scores recently came out in the last several weeks. Give us your assessment of those and what you feel needs to happen.
Well, I mean, I think you have less schools that are academically unsatisfactory status. We, as a whole, the news was very, very good. I think what we really need to focus on is probably our 60 schools, 60 to 80, because once they hit that 60 mark, some of our lowest performing schools think that they've done it. Well, even at the state average, at 86%, 50% of your students are reading below grade level. So we just really, I think our focus probably should be on the 60 to 80, helping those get to 100. I think the goal is to get all schools to 100 school performance score, and I don't think we're going to be satisfied until we get there.